In today's video, I am going to be talking about when I would teach my team zone defenses, and this is kind of a tip as to when you can teach your team zone defenses as well. I know there's a lot of coaches, a lot of programs, a lot of people think that you should not be teaching zone defense to kids. However, I disagree. They're going to be learning how to run zone defense later on. They might as well learn it as young as possible. However, there are some rules that I go by, and that is if they don't know how to play man-to-man, they cannot play zone. They have to understand man-to-man defense first. They have to understand my version of a blitz when it comes to man-to-man, and they then can learn zone. So let me explain. When we are playing man-to-man defense, we are guarding a man. We have man on, we have one big step away because they are one pass away, and then we have the guys who are two passes away. Their defenders are two steps away. So at this point, they are playing man-to-man defense. If we have a pass over towards the wing, everyone rotates. We now have man on. This guy gets closer. If we pass down to player 5, that's man on. Player 2 is now one pass away. Player 1 is two passes away. And these guys are now roughly three passes away, three steps away, 2 steps away, and then 1 step away. If player 5 was to drive, as an example, we want to trap right there. Like a 2-3 zone, we want to trap. We do not want a free lane to the basket. This now means that player 3 needs to move down, player 1 needs to move over, and player 2 needs to move over just slightly. Now, when this happens, while there's a trap happening here, these 3 players are zoned up. This is why we want to teach man-to-man defense first, because there is a zone component in man-to-man. And that is anytime that there is a double team, anytime there is somebody who leaves their man to stop a direct drive to the basket, the other 3 players have to zone up, which means that player 2 guards these 2 players, player 1 guards these 2 players, and player 3 guards these 2 players. If a pass goes out to player 2 red needs to intercept that pass. If a pass goes out to player 1, in theory, in my opinion, player 1 needs to go and intercept that pass. And then, if player 3 gets a pass out to player 4 or 3 blue, he is the one who has to intercept these 2 passes. So, for example, if player 5 passed out to player 3, this would be player 3 recovering, and then player 1 needs to switch. They need to communicate the switch with their voice, and now player 2 returns up here, and because we would not want to have a mismatch, or at least a massive mismatch, we would then have player 4 go and guard player 2. Now, they are back in man. However, they are now communicating to say, hey, we've switched man. I now have player 4. I now have player 3, or whoever is on the court. So as you just seen, those players zoned up, and now they're going back to man-to-man defense. This is why if you teach man-to-man defense first, and then you teach zone, it's really easy to learn zone. However, if you learn zone first and then you go to man-to-man, it is extremely hard to teach man-to-man defense to a player who learns zone first. However, if you flip it around and you teach man-to-man defense first, teach how you zone up, and then go back to man, now when you teach a 2-3 zone, or you teach a 3-2 zone, or a 1-3-1, or whatever you are running, it is so much easier for them to understand, hey, I am no longer guarding an individual man. I am guarding an area where now if that ball gets passed over, I need to go and try and intercept. I need to go guard something. If you run something like a blitz, so for example, player 4 has the ball, player 3 sets that screen. Now, if you are blitzing the screen, which means that these 2 defensive players are going to guard the ball handler after he uses that screen, that is called blitzing the screen. The rest of these 3 players, because we are double teaming the ball, have to zone up, which means if player 4 uses that screen, player 1 and 3 blitz, player 5 needs to move over, player 4 needs to drop, player 2 needs to drop. They are now in a triangle zone until we either get that turnover, we get that steal, or whenever this ball gets back to a player. So for example, if they were to pass to player 1, player 2 would go back to his man, 4 would go back to his man, 5 would go back to this man, and these two would communicate to say who guards who. If young players 100% fully understand man-to-man defense, that is when you teach zone. Now, if you're a coach going up against a team that is running zone and they're running it perfectly, that usually means that they learn man-to-man defense first. You should not be upset with that coach saying that they are cheating, because now they're running something because their players are more advanced than most players that you may have been playing against. However, if, for example, you are going up against a 2-3 zone and your guys dribble up and nobody is guarding the ball, nobody is closing off middle, nobody is forcing one side, and this team is just merely zoning up and not guarding the ball, and you can take unlimited amounts of three-point shots and potentially be making them, they probably did not learn how to play man-to-man defense first. If they are running a 1-3-1, for example, and we have a man on ball, if you set a screen and this guy doesn't lift and this is leaving you wide open for a three-point shot, that usually means that this team didn't learn man-to-man first. If this man lifts, you make the pass over to player 4 and player 4 red doesn't go out and cover the corner man, again, this team probably doesn't either doesn't know zone, or they may not have learned man-to-man defense first. Because what generally happens with players who learn zone defense first, they tend to just say, this is my spot. This is my spot. I was told to stand here, and if I am in this spot, I am not moving. I may have my hands out to guard whoever is out there, or maybe clog up passing lanes, but this is my spot. If there's not a player right here, I don't need to move. And that's what younger players will think. Now, if a team is running zone defense and you're going up against that and you're finding that it's extremely easy to go around those players and score at the rim, you can 100% get mad at that coach, because that coach should probably teach man-to-man defense first. It will make his life a lot easier and potentially help him win more games. However, we should always be learning or looking to teach man-to-man defense first and then transition to zone. We should not be upset with each other when it comes to a team running a zone. There's been a lot of times coaches have been yelling at me saying that I was cheating because I run a half-court trap zone. I got a couple of different options that I run, and then I sit back into either into a man-to-man or into a zone or into the unbeatable defense that I have down in the description below. And if you're looking for a really killer defense, definitely go check out my Unbeatable Basketball Zone Defense book that is down in the description below. Hit that like button, subscribe. I hope that this video has helped you. If it has, and I'll see you guys again in my next video.